Hi, and welcome to Rabbit and Moon Tarot. My name is Angel, and I'll be doing a collective read today. Now, if you've been here before, you know that I've been putting chapter markers in the timeline and in the description box below. Sometimes it doesn't show up on the timeline, but it's definitely in the description box below, along with any references that I may make, whether it's video games, movies, a deck that I've used, provided I can find the link. And if you're new to my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. All likes, shares, and subscribes are deeply appreciated as it helps my channel and my stories reach more people. And I'll put a little chapter marker here because I am going to do a tarot intro. Now, if you've heard it before or you just want to move over to the reading, that's totally cool. You can select the chapter if you're on a computer or a laptop, but if you're on your phone, if you double tap on the right side of the screen, it'll take you to the next chapter. But remember, 2 fingers. So let's get into the tarot intro. Tarot is a tool for self-reflection and to be used when you're making a decision using your inner moral compass in pursuit of your own particular brand of happiness. Now, I'm an intuitive reader, so that means I know the tarot, but I also will read oracles and receive like downloads from my ancestors, my guides, and the energies that be. Now, there's only so many cards in a deck, so sometimes a card will come out, and despite what it says, sometimes I will have what people may call like a strange interpretation, but that's because my guides or my ancestors are pulling the closest approximation to the message that they want to send out. And it's up to me as the reader to translate or interpret, but it's also up to you as the viewer to decide whether or not that resonates with you. And it won't always resonate because it is a collective read. You know, I'm on YouTube with thousands of other YouTubers with tarot. And so I'm picking on general energies. Sometimes they'll pop in different, like you might resonate with a little bit of the beginning or a little bit at the end or maybe the whole thing, because I'm just tapping into the energy that's the most prominent. Now, resonating is that moment when you hear something and you're like, oh, that sounds like me. This happened to me last year, or this happened to me right now. Or I was thinking this the other day and I haven't said anything, but how is it in this reading? It is a heart pluck moment. It plucks on that heartstring of yours that immediately you're taken to a place, time, person, event. That's how you know there's no downtime. When I say something and it feels like I'm talking to you, it's likely because I am. But also just keep in your mind that don't make anything fit. You shouldn't have to like do mental gymnastics to make it apply to your situation. It just would if it resonated with you. Now, I understand on some people's channels, they get people in the comments that get kind of head up and a little bit triggered and are like, you don't know what you're talking about. But the thing is, I am one of thousands of tarot readers on YouTube, and we're reading thousands of different cards and thousands of different energies surrounding us. And we pull on the strongest one as we read. So it's not a personal, it's not a one-on-one. So anytime you click on a video on YouTube, it is a collective read. You may resonate with none of it, and you may resonate with just a little fraction of it or the whole thing, just depending on how the energy is being read. And you know, sometimes people do get triggered, but I often want to encourage those people to say, look inside. Like, why? Why did you get so mad at this particular card reading or this particular reader? It is a collective. This person, myself or others, are among thousands of tarot readers reading thousands of different cards, tapping into thousands of different energy. Why was it when you clicked on it, you heard something, you automatically responded in a negative way? Maybe it's because there was a heart pluck moment that you weren't quite ready for, that maybe is sensitive for you. And you know, it's okay. Like, doing shadow work is hard. Not okay that you put all those comments, no, but shadow work is hard. Looking inwards to find out what our wants, needs, desires are, where our triggers and our traumas come from, is hard work. And if we don't pay our inner world enough love and attention, it often becomes triggers in the outer world, in what we see around us. So just know that you are the maestro of your own destiny. You make the decisions. Don't give your power up to a tarot reading. It's a tool to use when you're making decisions about your own life. And I believe in fate and destiny. It's kind of like, think about it like this. You are the director of like a stage show. The universe can provide you costuming, characters, locations, scripts, music. all of those things. But it's up to you to write how you want those things. And the play can happen, and the universe can bring you characters or situations that could happen, but it's up to you as a director to make the call to be like, yes, that's going to happen. Yes, we'll move towards that. Yes, we'll say that. Or no, we're not involving ourselves in that situation. No, I'm not going to say that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are co-creating with the universe. So just, what kind of story do you want to write? Anyways, let's get into the pre-shuffle. Now, I'm doing things a little bit different because the fact that in real life, my schedule has taken quite a bit of a change, and so I only have certain days to read now. So I'm going to be relying more on oracle-led reads. I'm using this conglomeration of oracles. I call the library, because it's a box of just tons of different oracles, and then I will just read from it randomly. So we're still going to do a pre-shuffle and see where the collective is at currently, and then we'll go into the reading. So pre-shuffle, what do we have? Okay, we have 3, so we'll take those 3. Okay, so we have fusion, openness, harmonized collaboration. Then we have self-indulgence, which is self-worth and value, time to heal, shadow work, self-appreciation, and muse. Oh, I love this. This is really good. Okay, so collective, right away, you all are... Yes, right away, you all are recognizing the importance of putting yourself first. That doesn't mean that you're like stomping along other people who are in your way, like you're stomping all the little people as you grow. No, you're not doing that. You're not lifting yourself up by stepping on other people. No, that's not it. What you are focusing on, collective, is creating that inner balance within yourself. If you ascribe to the terms balancing your masculine and your feminine energy, or your yin and your yang, or your shadow and the light, doesn't matter what terms you use, it stands for the same things. It's balancing your internal world and your external world, making sure that the things that you present to the world and how you regard yourself internally are healthy. Because when we, like I said in the tarot intro, if you have inner world stuff, like internally, you have wants, needs, and desires, but you also have traumas and old wounds from when you were young or from a past relationship, if those things aren't given love and respect and attention, those internal world things that you don't share with people can often become triggers in the outer world. And so coming into balance is literally when you deal with your shadow self or your inner world, it's recognizing, giving respect and love to that part of yourself, because it is still part of yourself. Your inner world, your shadow self, is also like when you hear people say your 3D self and your 5D self. Your 3D self is the body that you exist in on this earth, and your 5D self is like your spiritual side. Having those be balanced as well. One is your 3D self, your shadow self, your inner world is about protection of yourself, and your 5D self is about like enlightenment. Having those things in balance is very, very important. We also hear about there are 2 wolves inside of you. Which do you feed? You feed both of them equally so that they are in balance. Like, there is so much, pardon me, my roommate has a cold. There is so much good energy about this. And I love this muse card at the end over here. Like, not only do you find it important and you're prioritizing your own self-worth, your own self-esteem, your own self-care, there's some, I mean, it's a muse for a reason. There's something that is eliciting that courage, that honesty, that want to work on yourself. Yes, it could be self. It could just be your higher self. Like, your higher self is your muse. You want to be more in balance with your higher self, your spiritual self, or the divine. Right? That could be your muse. But also could be like maybe someone in your life, like a mother figure or a father figure or a friend that you respect or someone that you love a lot, is inspiring you to see how good you are, to see the potential in you, to see that self-love is important. Or maybe you want to be better for yourself so you can be better for your family, friends, lovers that are around you. Whatever it is, I love this. Okay? Looks like you guys are all on the right path to understanding that self-love, self-balance is not selfish. It's self-care. It's self-love. Okay, let's get some more oracles for the pre-shuffle. Okay, so we have one. So we have too risky. You feel like it's not worth the risk, but opening your heart is a risk worth taking. Oh, okay. So we have a little apprehension. We're going to get two more cards since the first pre-shuffle cards have had three. We have avoid toxic people. Hang out with people who will uplift your spirit and not bring it down. Oh, we have two. Okay, so let me put that down. So we have nurture your relationships, and then you are charming, having confidence in charm. A lot of people gravitate towards you because they like you for you. Okay, so we're gonna. This is wild. The first set of oracles was about self-love, self-care, really focusing and understanding the importance of self-balance, right? And then we had the muse. There's someone around you, father figure, mother figure, friend, someone inspiring you to understand that taking care of yourself first and loving yourself first is a priority. It's not a luxury. It's a priority. You need to love yourself first so that you can be good to yourself, think well of yourself, and as well as treat people better. Because unfortunately, when we have lots of wounds and traumas on our soul that we don't address, they end up, like I said in my tarot oracle, those things turn into triggers in the outer world. So when people are just talking to us about things that aren't normally triggers, but if we feel a certain way about ourselves, we can see them as an attack, or we can see them as them telling us we're wrong, when really they're saying, this is my opinion, and everyone's allowed to have one. And there's something with this too risky, like it's too risky to open your heart and avoid toxic people. And then we have nurture and you are charming. There's something that makes me believe that, okay, part of the whole reason that you're on this self-love journey, this self-healing journey, this balancing, is because you came from a situation that you felt disempowered. That I heard, I put up with too much for too long, and now it's me time. You're a little bit hesitant about opening your heart up romantically, and it's a little bit it's a little bit hard for people to be, what's the word, I don't want to say swayed against swayed away from wanting to get close to you in a romantic sense, because I think naturally you just have a charisma and a charm about you. So I love that you're on this journey of self-love and self-care. I love that you have a positive role model or a positive goal that makes you want to be better for yourself and think better of yourself, so that you treat the world better and you treat yourself better. I can understand why you're like, no, I'm not quite ready to be opening up my heart yet, because I'm healing from the past relationship. Because that past relationship taught me that kind of dynamic is not what I'm accepting ever again. And I'm focusing on myself. So there's a little bit of apprehension. I feel like you're the type of person, collective, that's very friendly, very chatty. You nurture your friendships. You are charming. You have a charisma. You have a je ne sais quoi. People like to be around you. But because you are so charming and you have that little spark of life, that you are naturally maybe bubbly person, there are people who want to get close to you romantically, and you're like, almost like you're drawing a line. You're like, if you're my friend, cool. If you want to get to know me romantically, I'm not there yet. I'm healing. But we can be friends, we can be cool, and that's fine. Like, protecting your peace and protecting your heart is totally valid. The only thing I would say is not that opening your heart is too risky, because you'll know when you're ready. You'll know when you're ready, because it'll take that special person, you know. But I do agree with avoid toxic people. So okay, I like this. I like this. I feel like even when you're like, no, I'm not sure if I really want to do this yet. I think you're being smart about it, protecting your peace. Opening your heart is not risky, but I can understand the energy of not yet. I'm not ready yet. And that's fine. Listen to your inner compass. Don't let it stop you from enjoying life. And if you do find someone that you love and want to be around and want to get to know on a better, on a deeper level, don't shy away from that just because you're healing. Because here's the thing. You can go about it by, focusing on self and only having friends and focusing on yourself while you heal. Totally valid. But it's also valid to heal yourself, have friends, and allow yourself to make connections while still maintaining your healing. Never give up the healing. Never give up being centered and balanced. Both are valid. Just whatever you feel comfortable with, right? Okay, so this is going to be an oracle-led reading because there's something that's telling me let's just do it that way. So that's what we're going to do. So that's what the collective is feeling like going into this reading. So what is currently happening for the collective? Okay, so we have walking away. Walking away. Leaving too quickly when things get challenging. Stay and try and work it out. Okay, and then we've got burned. You've been hurt before, so it's hard for you to trust. Let someone in and love it. Okay, this is it literally. This is what I was just saying. Like you walked away from a situation because you were feeling invalidated, disempowered. Maybe it was really unhealthy. Maybe you just felt like that person wasn't present. It was like a relationship. You were single in a relationship, if that makes sense. You were single in a relationship. It was like technically you were together. Technically you lived together, but the connection between you two was like roommates. Like you didn't even, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't where it should be in a healthy way. And so you walked away from that situation. And that the pre-shuffle card's about not feeling like, it's too risky to kind of open your heart and you want to stay away from toxic people. Legit. Totally legit. Because you've been burned before. This makes sense when in tandem with the pre-shuffle. Now, sometimes pre-shuffles will be its own little mini read on its own, but I'm having the sneaking suspicion that this pre-shuffle goes directly in to what the collective is feeling. Okay, so the collective is currently healing, protecting their peace, protecting their energy because they've had haven't had such a great past relationship. They're trying to heal from that. Okay, again, this came out again. Avoid toxic people. Like you're very aware. Like I almost feel like you might be a little hyper vigilant. Where like not that you're avoiding people, but I feel like I'm hearing you reserve, what's the word? Or what's the term? You're reserving your judgment of people. Like, oh, honestly, this is it right here. I mean, while I don't think opening your heart is a risk when it's with the right person, because there's always going to be vexation and little, bickering here and there, even when you find someone that you love. But I just heard, like, I'm reserving my judgment. Show me who you are. Don't tell me who you are. That's royalty right there. Yes, because people can all day long tell you who they are and paint a pretty picture or a picture of strength, but then they fail to follow up, to support what they've said. So yes, let the actions speak for themselves. Then we have admired. This literally is like an extended version of the pre-shuffle. Like you walked away from a situation that was not it. Disempowering, unhealthy, or maybe the connection was just not there. Like y'all were, like I said, like roommates. You've been burned before, and so you're making a concerted effort to make sure that you're paying attention to what people do and how people act, not necessarily what people say. And that's fine. That's a great way to do it because you want people to actually back up their words with actions. And it's hard for people not to come towards you because you are so charming. This admired card is telling me that you have quite amount of charisma, a quite amount of, sorry, I'm getting stumbly over my words. You have quite a bit of charisma and charm. I said that I'm looking at with his hands, and I'm like, I mean, that's cool. Thank you for the compliment, but also, stay over there until I can vet you. Fair. So spread your wings. Confidence that leads to freedom and growth. Confidence with healing. Yeah. So, I mean, this first row really is just reiterating what we just said. So this is exactly one of those readings that the pre-shuffle goes right into the actual reading. You've walked away from situations that wasn't working for you. You're trying to make sure you're carefully curating your circle of friends, and more intensely, the people who get close to you, what could be potential partners. It's a little bit of an endeavor because you are so well liked. You are so likable. You are so magnetic. You have that charisma. But you understand that healing and curating and allowing yourself to experience is, essentially part of the healing process and can lead to growth and freedom. So let's get clarification on this walking away. Let's see what the oracles have to say. Okay, so then we have walking away. So we have love's balance. This is love's balance. Like I said, it was as if as love's balance, the balance was off. There was something not right. Like, honestly, again, because I feel like you're a person that has a lot of charisma and you're well liked and you're a little bit of a magnet. Like, people are just kind of attracted to you. You have a charm. It makes sense that in this situation that you were trying to create balance with this person, but you can't make balance with someone who doesn't want the same kind of balance, the same kind of equal give and take or investment, or maybe you agreed on healing and they were like, nah, there's nothing wrong with me. So you walked away from the situation because it was imbalance, and what you want is balance. Okay, this burned card. Okay. Well, okay. Well, we'll take that. So we have sacrifice. Giving up something for now for a future reward. Yeah. Yes, you gave up I just heard the stability of this relationship. Again, this really kind of goes into that feeling where whatever connection you were in currently wasn't balanced, and that's why you walked away. And this is something that you've experienced before, this imbalance in the relationship. But more specifically, I feel like this balance is like you were willing to do the work internally and to heal and to kind of try to make things work, and this person was not into it. This person that you walked away from likely had their own issues and either didn't want to deal with the issues or were afraid to deal with issues. And when I say afraid, it's not that they were afraid of you, collective, because you're very well liked. People look on you well. What they're afraid of is what they would uncover by doing the healing. It's like they felt like if they dug deep to kind of do the healing, They would be afraid of what they would find. They would be afraid of what they would feel. They were afraid of what would be dredged up, and they'd rather just keep that door closed. I'm seeing like that closet in like cartoons and movies from old school times, that like they would open it up and everything in the closet would just fall down, and then a bowling ball would fall. Like it happens in cartoons a lot. I think in like maybe it's like the 60s, where a cartoon would open the closet and then all this shit would fall on them, and then a bowling ball would be like the piece de resistance that falls on their head, and the cartoon character has a lump on their head. They were afraid to really open that door because they were afraid about what they would find, what would be dredged up, and whether or not they were really strong enough to handle it. But that wasn't where you were. You knew that it was necessary. And that's not to make excuses for this person. They might be feeling anxiety. They might be feeling fear. They have obvious wounding. But that also affected your relationship. It's why the love balance is here under the walking away. You walked away because it was in balance. And this sacrifice card is, you had a life with this person. You lived with them, likely. It feels like you relied on them in some way. Maybe you lived with them and you had like financial entanglements like bills or rent. Maybe you were married to this person. Maybe you were engaged to this person. Maybe you worked together, and so walking away not only was leaving the relationship, but you actually left your job too, so you could remove yourself from a situation that could be triggering to you in the future. So you made certain sacrifices. You gave all that up so that you could reach a future goal that was more rewarding and more balanced in the future. Let me just say that takes an incredible amount of strength. If you ever wavered in your internal strength before, this is confirmation that you are strong. I really believe that the universe won't put you to it if it can't see you through it. This takes an incredible amount of strength, especially if, for those that it resonates, if the connection that you were in was like one of those single in a relationship where like you guys were technically together, but you acted more like roommates, like they had their life, you had your life. There wasn't any real connection. There wasn't any real love. Maybe there were some moments of physical intimacy, because we as humans, we crave that kind of physical intimacy, but there wasn't real connection. And that the vulnerability between you and your partner wasn't there. For those that resonates. Okay, let's move on to the avoid toxic people. Oops. There we go. Oh, so we have hurricane, upheaval, destruction. Oh, Tower card. You know what? The sacrifice, giving something up now for a future reward, and then we have like a Tower card, one of upheaval, one of unexpected change, and then we have avoid toxic people. I feel like these things are hand in hand. It wasn't just you were ready to sacrifice and break away from the relationship. It wasn't just you breaking away from, maybe you guys worked together. And so that also created upheaval, because not only did the relationship end, but now the company has lost an employee. You moved away from a source of money to avoid toxic situations. And I'm hearing there may have been a shared friend group between you and your person. And I also hear that maybe you were close with their family. So you moving away wasn't just you moving away for freedom to pursue what you wanted to. It came with upheaval. It was a tower moment for both you and this person. But the difference is you knew the tower was coming. You know how they say in like this hurricane, the eye of the storm is the calmest? You were here in the center because you're trying to center yourself, right? So you were going through it, but out of all of this tumultuousness around it, you were in the center because you knew what needed to be done. You knew you had to call in this tower to change your life. You made a sacrifice in order to allow yourself the room, the kindness, the space, the platform to receive change and something better. You were at the eye of the storm. Well, this person who didn't want to do the work, maybe maybe because they didn't feel like they needed it. There's that. But there's also those that were afraid to drudge deep to what they would find. They're out here in the perimeters experiencing the worst of it. Not because you're trying to hurt them, because in the center of the storm is understanding that certain things need to be done, certain things need to be dealt with, certain wounds need to be healing. If they would have, understood that in the relationship, maybe the tower moment still would have happened anyways, but they would have been in the center with you to be like, no, you're right. This is the healthier thing for both of us. It's hard. It's hard to move from one phase or chapter of your life into the other. But we're both here at the center of the storm. It is still happening, but we are in the most centered place because we know that after the storm passes that we can start afresh. You know what I mean? Like you didn't cause this hurricane because you're trying to hurt anybody. You understood the tower has to come in so that you can change your life in the way that is healthy. Okay, and then for this admired card, so we have sunglasses, watching, looking. Yep. I would not be surprised if the person that you walked away from is still checking your socials, is still on your Facebook, your Blue Sky, your Instagram. If you have a YouTube, maybe they're looking at their YouTube. And because you're so admired, it's this person is going through it. Like, understand that I'm not here being like, you got what you deserved. Because I don't think that you're like that. I'm getting the distinct feeling that you are not like that. That you're not like, well, let me tell you about yourself. You're an awful person. No, but you can also understand how it was problematic to stay with this person. I really get the impression, collective, that when it was time to leave the relationship, that it was a very mature conversation. That didn't mean that it wasn't emotional, that there wasn't crying, there wasn't tears, and maybe on their end a little bit of like blaming at you. But you weren't going to be shook from what you knew was the right thing to do. And now you're on your healing journey. Like I said, during those pre-shovels, you were focused on balance, focused on centeredness. You have a muse. There's something, like again, a father figure, a mother figure, someone you highly respect, maybe someone that you love, maybe someone you've come to love, or someone that you've been in love with, that you want to be better to yourself so that you can treat your friends, family, and future partner better. And like I said, you're greatly admired. People understand why you did what you did. They don't fault you for it. They said that you did the mature thing. And this person is probably still looking at your socials. And I'm not going to go into this energy right now because that's their whole journey. But I do feel like they're looking at you from afar and not saying things like, oh, they were two-timing me. But they're looking at you like, well, good for them. They look happier. They seem happier. And maybe by you calling in this tower helps put them on the path to their healing. Sometimes that's how it works. Okay, so spread your wings, collective. What do we got for that? We got process, journey, growth, path, and experience. Honestly, I really love this reading. It's you, collective, are so self-aware. You understand this is a process, that the feeling of freedom and heal doesn't come overnight, but it comes from everyday progress. Healing is not an event. It is a process. Every day, you let go of a little bit of pain and you embrace a little bit of healing. I heard once somebody described it as kind of like soup. You had this soup with this person and it's your favorite soup. And through dealing with, their traumas and the arguments and their invalidation or their hang-ups, it's like they poured so much hot sauce in your soup. they like change the flavor profile by putting like ghost peppers in there. Like, you have two choices. You can either work with the bowl of soup that you have, and over time, by taking a scoop of the soup and eating it, and then taking fresh soup and putting it back in, so that one day, over time, through work that is hard, that's why you're eating the ghost pepper soup, and every time you take a spoon, you're adding fresh soup back, so that one day the soup will be where it was approximately. It won't ever be the exact same soup, but it will be better, right? And then some people will be like, I didn't ask for ghost pepper sauce in my soup. Why should I eat that soup? And you're right. You don't have to eat that soup. And I think you're kind of somewhere in between there. This person put like ghost pepper sauce in your favorite soup, the relationship, and you tried eating it and putting new soup in. You tried eating and putting, try to work with them. But at some point, you stopped and you pushed the bowl away and you're like, that's it. I'm done eating the soup. No matter how much clean soup or fresh soup I put in, this taste won't go away. And so I'm going to step away. And I'm going to try drinking some water, drinking some milk to get myself right, to get my balance right, so my mouth isn't burning anymore. And then one day, I'll order another bowl of soup. I know it's kind of a silly analogy, but I heard it once and I thought it was really accurate. It is about food, but it is poignant. And honestly, collective, this is one of those readings that is such a quiet reading, but it's strong. It's centered. You're still healing. You're not perfect inside. No one is. But I can see how much, you're not villainizing this person. You recognize that a lot of the pain and a lot of tumultuousness came from trauma. And you tried as much as you could. But at some point, you pushed the bowl away and said, I don't want to eat this soup anymore. I'm going to step away. I'm going to drink some milk. I'm going to drink some water just so my mouth doesn't burn. And I will one day order a new bowl of soup and have another relationship. But in the meantime, this is about healing. This is making it so that my mouth isn't burning. I know it's such a silly analogy, but I love it. Okay, so let's get a card from the vibrational match to close out the reading. There we go. So we have clearing the air. Cleanse your aura. Confront an issue. Settle the facts. Clear communication. Remove any tension and smudge your space. I love how clearing the air is like cleansing yourself. This is very, I know it's not exact, but in my head it makes sense. To cleanse your space, to cleanse your aura, to cleanse your air. It's like what I was saying with the bowl of soup that someone put ghost peppers in that you didn't ask for. Like you're eating the soup because you're trying to work on it and you try to add new soup, trying to cleanse it by adding fresh soup in to fix it, to put the work in. And sometimes pushing the bowl away and saying, I don't want to eat that anymore. I want to heal my tongue and then order a new bowl of soup somewhere down the line. It's allowing yourself to cleanse your palate, to cleanse the heat, to cleanse the burn, to cleanse the pain. And then one day you'll be ready for another bowl of soup. And that's the reading for today. I know it's a little bit different, but I'll probably end up doing a little bit more of these types of readings because when I have a limited amount of time, that's all I can really do. But thank you so much for being here today. All likes, shares, and subscribes are deeply appreciated. And more specifically, I can't do any of this without you and your energy, so I appreciate you and your energy being here today. This is Rabbit and Moon Tarot. My name is Angel, and I will see you at the next reading.